Kia ora, g'day, and welcome to another 3'6" models how-to guide. So today I'm doing the LA-8 four-wheel wagon, and here's the main part, the wagon itself. As you can see, it's printed with the bottom side facing towards the build plate, which is why it's all rough. So I'm going to have to sand that down. The next bit is the chassis. Chassis again is printed with the bottom side towards the build plate, and so that means that that bit's a bit rough, so we'll have to sand that. As you can see there, that's where the wheel sets fit in. You also get the brake detail, that's the brake and the ratchet. I'll just get that a bit closer to the camera, and a whole bunch of chains and hooks, so it's a bit blurry. Try it with this one, a bit closer to the camera. Chains and hooks, and these two pieces, which are the covers that go over where the couplers go at the end of the chassis, like that, and a screw then goes in the middle there. So I'll show you how to screw that on as part of the assembly. So there's two of those. So having a look at the wagon itself, so I'll get my sanding block. So if you've seen my tools video, you'll see I get a little block of wood and some 800 grit wet and dry sandpaper. Basically what I do is just gently sand down the bottom of the wagon so that it's nice and flat, and then the chassis will be able to fit to the bottom of the wagon nice and flat as well. So as you can see, I've got my sandpaper all around the block there, and you just slowly grind down the excess bits of the 3D print that you don't need. Just do the ends a little bit as well, just so they're nice and even, because they don't come out necessarily as flat as they should do, and do the same at that end too. As you can see, there's a bit of the dust coming off there, so you can't really see it. So I'm shaking the camera now as well, but more sanding is going on. And as you can see, the little block of wood with the sandpaper around it again. So yeah, just sanding away there so it's nice and flat. You do have to blow on it to get all that excess resin that's been sanded off it. That's now nice and flat. Just get my file and just file down at the ends there as well to make sure that that's nice and flat too. That's the bit where obviously you see that the chassis actually sits on, so you've got to make sure that that's actually nice and flush to the bottom of the wagon itself. Give it a bit of a blow, get all the dust and crap off it, and just do a little bit of a file on the edge there, because that doesn't necessarily come out perfect as well, so we'll do that too. Now shaking the camera here, it's not great, but anyway. And a bit of a file at either end again. So all we want to do, is make it as much as possible that to be a nice level surface. So try test fit the chassis on there, and they should line up with the coupler pockets in the wagon itself. So I'll just show you there. So that needs to be obviously sanded down a bit more to fit in, and that needs to be a bit straighter too. So I'll get my file on that and just gently file that down just a little bit, but also right at the end there, so that that chassis sits nice and flat on the bottom. So I'll take the chassis now, and I'm just going to gently sand that down at the end there, just so that the chassis itself is nice and flat when I fit it to the wagon. Just do a bit of a tidy up there. It is a little bit more fragile, obviously. You can see how nice the detail comes out there This design was actually by Neil Ward, and Neil designs his wagons in 9mm scale 1 to 33. So this is a 1 to 87 scale HO version of this wagon. And I'll just use my file just to get that in there nice and snug. It's still a little bit of give there, so just push that back in. See if we can get it to line up nicely with a couple of pockets. So because it's a 9mm model, there's a lot more detail than you would probably see in other scales, and that's just a benefit of taking a 9mm model basically and scaling it down. So yes, all nice and flat there. Maybe a little bit more sanding. As you can see, this is a process of just testing, going back to see if it's flat. It's not flat, go back, sand it again, check the edges are nice, check the underside, it's good. Now we'll try the chassis again, and it fits much better. So you can see that little bit of sanding just made a big difference. So that chassis now fits snugly against the bottom of the wagon. I'll just do a little bit more sanding on the chassis itself around where the couple of pockets are at the end. Just check that. Don't sand off the details there. We're just going for the surfaces that most people aren't actually going to see anyway. So yeah, we simply clear off that bit of resin, and there you go. Fits nice and snug. Much better. So what I'm going to do is I will super glue it down using Gorilla Glue, which is very handy, as I said in my video about tools, because it's got this little brush. So just carefully, sparingly brush a little bit of the super glue over the top surfaces that are going to face towards the model itself, and just give it a quick brush on some of the other finer bits too, those sort of stays that stick out on the edges there around the axles. That's all you need, not too much. And then very carefully, by picking it up at either end, fit it on the wagon and make sure that that is nice and straight. So I just got to straighten that up and use my fingers just to make sure that that's absolutely straight there on the sides of the wagons. Pushing it down. You've got a very short window to work with Gorilla Glue to make sure that's in the right place. Just do a check to see that that's there. That needs a bit of a push down as the glue sets. And then what you do is, yeah, just hold it in place for a little bit. So the good thing about Gorilla Glue is because of that short working time, it does actually set reasonably quickly. So just check each end to see if that's come out level. It looks like it has, so that's good. You may just need a little bit of encouragement with your fingers to make sure that it's all in place. But that's it. So now I'll take my wheel sets, which were very handily placed in the top right hand corner in a tray, and just test those. Now I usually just push in one end and then very gently push the other end downwards, trying not to damage the axle boxes as you push the wheel set in. Now with the NZR wheel sets that I have with 3'6" models, they should fit, and I'll just do a quick spin test on it quite nicely. And we'll do that with the other one too. Again, trying not to break anything as we do it. I'll try it from that side. Yeah, push it in and then pop it down, and then do a spin test. It should spin freely. If not, something's sort of gone wrong there. I usually test it out on the working mat as well, and then I'm going to take them back out again because that was just a test fit. What I want to do next though is put the couplers on and then put the wheel sets back in. So I'll just take those off there, and I'll get my covers, and yeah, we want to put the little hole that the screw goes into in line with where the coupler goes. But first I'm just going to clean it off a bit with the old file there, the old microfile. So just file it in between my fingers and make sure that it's a nice flat surface again. because that's going to go up against the edge of the coupler pocket and obviously the end of the wagon itself. So it sits nice and snug there. So yeah, take the coupler pocket, as you can see it lines up with that hole, so that's good. Tick that box, that's done. And I take a shorter shank coupler, I'm going to put it in there. There's one I prepared earlier, the cover, it's already got the screw in it, the little screw that goes in there. I'll just move the other one that I sanded to the side for you. And that's the size that you want, the short shank coupler. You just very carefully push those in. You can take off the sprigs that go out the side there that center the coupler. You don't have to, it just makes it, I find, more reliable, because those sprigs really don't do anything when they're in such a small wagon. So I'll just cut those off there quickly. And as you can see, put the circular piece of the coupler where the screw goes, and then it falls off. But what we want to do is put the coupler in and align it to where the screw is. So I usually just set it up so the screw's going through there, and then hold it in place over the coupler pocket. Get my screwdriver and just gently, carefully screw it in to the coupler pocket, holding the cover in place so it doesn't sort of twist as it goes in. And as you can see here, the coupler can move freely, which is what I prefer. I'm going to take off these annoying things that they put on, because one, they don't look prototypical to me, but two, they tend to foul everything along the tracks as well, I find. I just think they look better without them. Personal preference, you can keep them on if you want. Get another coupler. Put the cover on there. And get the screwdriver. Again, hold the cover in place as you screw it in. Turn the screw as you go. Oh no, that hasn't entirely got in there, so we'll have to do that again. So I'll hold that in place with my finger and then gently just turn that screw so that we're getting a bit of bite. Yep, so there we go. Yep, so the screw's connected into the coupler pocket. I might just give it a bit more of a turn there just to make sure the thing's in place. And then we've got two couplers in our wagon. So I'll put the wheel sets back in again, just as I showed you before. So yeah, one in each set of axle boxes. Carefully push that in. Yep, there you go, and it clicks in place. As you can see, there's a slight divot on the axle box, so you just make use of that as much as possible. Another spin test, wheel spin freely, that's good. And it goes backwards and forwards on the build mat, so that's excellent. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a few details. You've got this brake lever and ratchet, which goes on the side of the wagon here. There's a special connector that it sits on, and then you glue the connector and the ratchet onto the front of the wagon, like so. So the actual brake lever only goes on one specific place in the wagon. So yeah, not too hard to get it in the wrong place, but I get a little bit of super glue, just dab it on there where the connector goes, and then on the ratchet just give it a bit of super glue as well. This is where having your needle nose pliers is really useful to apply the part. So if you've got a really steady hand, which unfortunately I don't, you can apply it that way. Yeah, just get it on before the glue sets. I'm sitting there going, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to hold it that long while the glue sets in that very specific place, which is right on the connector and the end of the wagon with the ratchet. And yeah, as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit here. So right, got it. Oh no, so that's not straight, so I'll just use my pliers just to get it in place. That one needs to be straightened up too. That's the joys of adding detail. But it looks very good once you've got it on there, much better than not having it on. If you see other ones that, going around that don't have the brake lever, it just doesn't look as good. So I think, definitely add it on. As you can see, the resin for it is actually slightly darker. That's because I've used a different type of resin for that part. Again, when you go and paint it, of course, you don't see the different variations in resin colors and all that sort of stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is put on the hook and chain. So traditionally the hook and chains go on either side of the coupler with the NZR wagons, so they could be hooked and chained together, funnily enough. So when I supply them with the LA-8 kit, basically I use my small block of wood to hold it up. The parts are so tiny that I actually supply them. There you go, there's one. On the actual supports that they come off the 3D printer on. Those ones there, I've actually just removed those. So you use your normal removal tool for removing the supports around the 3D print. So I just put a little bit of super glue there. Oh, I managed to lose it. So this is why these details are fun. Hang on. Lost it down there. That's fine. Got it back. It's all right. Let's do that again. So this just goes to show you that these things are quite finicky. So that's your hook and chain. Put a bit of super glue on that end again and hold it in place. I'll try that again. See, these are very finicky, so they go on that side, but that's where we want the hook and chain to go, and that worked. It's a good thing about having a short set time with the super glue. I'll pick up the other one with my pliers. I'll just manipulate it a little bit so that's in the right place. And a little bit more super glue again. Rinse and repeat. Very carefully place it in the right place in the wagon. There's also an ear hose which can go on it. Again, the application is pretty much the same as these parts. A bit of super glue and attach it, but I'm quite happy with that. There's two more hook and chains that I'll do on the other end as well, but for the purposes of this video you don't need to see that. So that's pretty much the LA-8 wagon. Reasonably straightforward. There it is.